Darkness kills, destroys the will. Find a spark, make hearts thrill. Hear the tales of time so grim. Shine a light, don't let it dim. Heather Brown downtown, bound. True crime story she's found. In the shadows, secret stay. Need a light that finds the way.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Defeating the Darkness, True Crime Stories with Downtown Heather Brown. That's me, your host. I'm a former homicide and sexual assault prosecutor here in Orange County, California. And tonight we're welcoming back a very special guest who you might have seen in the last episode. Welcome back, Peter Finnerty.
Happy to be here, HB.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to have you here. And we've just been having a hoot with Peter.
Hims.
This guy right here,
Hims.
Peter Finnerty. We've been having some fun already with Mr. Brian Gerwitz, who...
AKA BG.
BG, we call him BG.
BG and HB. I'm the only one that doesn't have, like, cool initials.
We have to get some cool initials. What
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone's ripping a toot.
All right, Peter Finnerty, I want to get the backsuit because, listen, we might have to bring Brian back in because he won't leave. He had so much fun.
He won't leave.
We love him. We invited him to stay and be in the episode with you again because I think the two of you are hysterical. And honestly, that's why I brought you both on, because you're both brilliant. You're both hilarious. You both crack me up. But I think that was really important in our job. So to have humor and laughter and gallows humor. And I know you and I shared that.
Gallows humor in particular.
On many occasions, Peter.
And because we worked in, I was not a homicide prosecutor. I was a sexual assault unit prosecutor for over a decade. So.
Over a decade, just like me. So we were in that unit for so long together, but let's back up because I want the listeners to know a little bit. I know you're hilarious and we're going to have fun and we've already been having fun, but let's back up a little more serious note. Tell me about you, Peter Finnerty. Like, how did you get to be working alongside me? I had the honor and privilege to do that for so long in the DA's office, but before that, leading up, give us your backstory.
Well,
where are you from?
Originally from Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And then I bounced around a bit. I bounced around a bit for school. I went to high school in New Jersey, and I was talking with Pete about going out to Philly on the weekends. I went to undergrad at Boston University in Massachusetts, and I went to Brooklyn Law School in New York for a JD, International Relations undergrad at BU, and then Brooklyn Law for my JD, then Georgetown Law Center for an LLM in taxation law. When I first graduated or when I was done with school, which was a lot of school, I worked at a few big firms, hated it. It was hourly billing. That's where I put on the 60 pounds that I'm never going to lose.
Civil litigation.
Civil litigation.
Yeah, you got to bill like every 7 minutes or something ridiculous.
Usually, it's every 6 minutes. You do 0.1, but.
Let me ask you this, Peter. Can you bill for the time it takes you to bill?
No. I mean, some people do, but ethically, no. So, because that's administrative. But that's all right, because if you work 16, 17 hours a day and sleep 6 hours and then travel for the half hour each way to get to the office, you still have, say, 12 to 13 hours of billable time while the administrative time. It was just a terrible way to live, in my opinion. Some people love it. I did not like it at all. I was just so deep in debt after all that school, I had to go where they would pay me the most money. I did that for a few years. I worked in at a couple of AM 100 firms first in LA, and then I worked in the Washington, D.C. office, and then I worked out of the Houston office, and then I came down to Orange County for a different firm in their tax group. I was doing complex litigation, and then I went to tax, and I was very excited. I tax LLM. I'm like, I'm finally doing tax. This is going to be great. And as much as I enjoyed my tax law degree, my LLM, I hated being a tax attorney, at least the type of tax work I was doing. The firm was great. It just wasn't for me. And while I was there, one of the partners at the office I was in here in Orange County asked me to help him with some litigation stuff. And I mentioned him. I'd always wanted to be a DA. I'd always seen myself doing criminal prosecution. He said, well, why didn't you do it? I said, I owed so much money. I couldn't afford to be a prosecutor. I could have afforded to be a public defender because at the time, public defenders had the 10-year, all your debt gets waived, at least from my law school. But there was no national program for it. So I had to pay my loans. And so when I gave my notice after a year that I was leaving, he said, you know, Peter, I like you. I remember, I don't even know if I should say his name. He's a great guy. But
give him a shout out. He sounds amazing.
Joe Sherez, awesome guy. I can't speak highly enough about him. And he said, I know Tony Rakakis as a personal friend, and I know you're leaving, but I talked to the managing partner, and they have a thing called the TAP Attorney Partnership Program. And normally what happens is you're working at a private firm, and you go and work at the DA's office for a couple of months, and they deputize you while you're there. And so the law firm keeps paying you while you work as a DA. So it doesn't cost the DA's office anything. And they get someone to come in and you do misdemeanor work while you're there. And he said, you're leaving on good terms. That's the way to leave any firm. I agree with him. And he said, I went, and here's what the managing partner said we could do. You're leaving, so we're not going to pay you, but you can do this TAP Attorney Partnership Program if you don't have something lined up. And I didn't. I was just like, I can't keep doing this. So I went and worked as a TAP attorney at the DA's office, and I absolutely loved it. I knew I would like it. I absolutely loved it. I was like, this is amazing. And this is something you can do when you're unmarried with no kids and, you know, just my own debt to deal with. I say that because I'm now married with a ton of kids, but so I couldn't have done this now.
DA's office anymore.
And not at the DA's office anymore, right? But so I did the TAP Attorney Partnership Program. I loved it. I ate it up. I remember because I was used to working these insane hours, I would get in at 7 a.m. and go in and I'd start working. And then I was used to working from 7 till like 11. So I'd work from 7 until the last person leaving and be like, dude, you need to go home. So I'd leave at 8 o'clock and be like, what do I do with 3 hours? Like, I'm going to go watch a movie. Like, this is incredible. You don't realize how awful your life can be at these billable firms. In my opinion, some people love it. I'm not meaning to put it down for everyone. It just wasn't for me. And I really enjoyed it. I applied in the meantime. They put out to hire people, and I applied and I got hired. So I got to get I kind of fell back into my dream job after thinking, you know, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go and just grind, and because they're paying me. I had gotten my debt down to such a manageable level by overpaying my loans, because I did make very good money working at big firms, and I just overpaid my loans so I could afford to become a DA. Now, when you work at a DA for years, they actually pay you pretty well, but when you start, especially back then, it was a massive pay cut. So all I did was switch my loans from paying 4 or 5 payments per month to a regular payment, and my lifestyle stayed the same, and I loved it. So by the time I went to the DA's office in 2005, I was annoying, where I was like, isn't it great we get to do justice today? And people are like, what is wrong with you? What are you, high right now? Like, no, what are you talking about? I loved it. And I enjoyed it the whole time I was there. And I didn't leave because I didn't like the job anymore.
Oh, it was a great job.
It's the best job I've ever had.
Best job ever.
And I left because I have many children and a wife and other obligations. And I realized I'm not going to be at the DA's office forever. And I had an opportunity to go to Sweet James. And that's where I am now. And
we can't plug it because it's like kind of our competition.
Oh, I'm not meaning to plug it. I'm just
Peter,
saying that's where I went.
joking.
Oh, all right. I'm not plugging it. But
I'm totally joking. It was a joke.
But that's
We
why I
love
left.
Sweet James.
So some people are like, oh, you didn't want to be a DA anymore. That wasn't it at all. It was just this opportunity was there. And I thought, you know what, this feels like the right time to move. And I think it was. But I miss being a DA. I miss it. I miss wearing the white hat. I miss being motivated by doing the right thing for a living. I miss knowing that that's when you get up every morning, I'm going to do what's right, period. Doesn't matter if it's going to piss people off, if my boss is going to be mad at me, if I'm going to get chewed out at my annual review. This is what's right to do. That's what I'm going to do. And I have to say, in my experience, at least at the Orange County DA's office, whenever I made calls that some people, our colleagues may not have agreed with, I never suffered for it. I suffered for other things, like I pissed lots of bosses off, but as far as like dismissing a case or letting someone plead to something that was less than what they said, this should go for this amount. If I had a proper justification, I don't feel like I ever took a lot of heat for that. But so that's how I got to the DA's office. And
then you were in the sex unit.
and then and what's funny is even how I got into, without getting into the reason why, I was in CJ1 for about a year and a half. Let's just say
You must piss
I was
somebody off.
being punished. And I was like, punish me like that all you want. CJ1 is it's in the Orange County Jail. It's the arraignment court. And I was there for a year and a half right when it first started. I think Brock was there for like 3 months, and then Brock left and I went in. So I wasn't there from day one, but I was there from like day 91. And it was meant to be a punishment, and I loved it. I loved it. It was like after all the stress of trial and all the homework you have, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, this is like a regular job.
I loved running a calendar court where you had to whip through the cases and it's.
But when you're done, there's no homework.
Yeah.
There's no witnesses to call. There's no briefs to write. And so the year and a half I spent in CJ1 actually was wonderful for me. I didn't realize how stressed I was until I just felt it melt away. And that's when I met my wife. My now wife.
She's a lovely lady.
I think so.
And everyone thinks so.
But she and I met like a week after I started. Oh, well, actually, I met her at the tail end of being in CJ1. And a week after I started in sexual assault is when I met her. So I should say not CJ1, I guess just after CJ1. But it was great to meet her right when I was finally in the job I wanted to be in, because I wanted to go right from panel. I went off a misdemeanor onto panel, and then CJ1, which was a punishment. It was a because I pissed someone off, who I will remain nameless because we get along really well now. I don't want to create friction in my life, but initially I was very like, oh, this sucks, and then I was like, God, punish me like this all you want. This is fantastic. And it allowed me to ultimately go where I wanted to go, which is sexual assault. Now, the key to that was I went to do sexually violent predator cases. And that was not a preferred area because it was civil rules, but with criminal protections, meaning you still appeared in front of a criminal judge, still to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. They had most of the protections that you'd have in a criminal case, but there were some wrinkles to it that actually played out over the course of the 10 plus years that I predominantly did those cases, where it's now far more like criminal than it was when I first started. Like initially, my first few trials that I did, you could put the defendant on the stand, which sounds amazing, right? Put them on and be like, you did this and you did that, except it was in front of criminal judges. And they would, again, they will remain unnamed, but these judges would come to me like, Mr. Finnerty, I know the law says that you get to ask these questions, but I'm telling you, you can't ask those questions. I'm like, you can't do that, Judge. You're not a super legislative authority. You can't say, I know the law says you can do it, but I'm telling you can. And yet they did, because that's sometimes what judges do. And not the good ones. You all know who you are.
Okay, but just for our listeners to put all this in context, when you say SVP, you're talking about sexually violent predator.
Yes, sexually violent predator cases.
And that's a way that after someone serves, like a criminal defendant on a sex case serves their determinate sentence, they can be actually, instead of being released into the community, they could basically
be found to have a petition filed if they qualify. And it's a civil petition, and there's civil discovery rules, and there are civil rules, at least in theory, in the actual trial. But at least here in Orange County, because every county does it differently, you don't go in front of a civil judge. You go in front of a criminal
judge for basically a civil matter. But it's civil in the sense that you're taking a criminal who's been convicted, served their time, and you're now... a petition is being filed on behalf of the people of the state of California saying, we believe we could civilly commit you to a mental institution because you suffer from a mental illness, and we believe that you're an ongoing threat to the community if you're released.
3 elements.
Okay.
And there's technically a fourth, but it's kind of a coin flip with number 3. So it really doesn't add anything, but there's a fourth that on a couple of my trials came up into play, but it really doesn't change anything. The first is you need to have a qualifying offense. And a qualifying offense is a conviction for 288.
Which is lewd act on a child.
288.5, 261.
Rape, not statutory rape.
Not statutory rape. I mean, there were some arguments that you could make that one would qualify, but really no, it has to be actual, like forcible rape, kidnap for rape. Technically, regular kidnap qualifies. There's actually Bedsworth wrote an opinion that he's not on the bench anymore, right? Did he retire?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I should know.
I should know that too.
We can delete that part, Pete.
No, because I wanted to say it was a horrible opinion. But if he's still on the bench, I probably don't want to say that as a justice. But I thought it was a terrible.
If
opinion.
he's dead, we keep it in.
He's definitely not dead, but I don't think I think he retired. But he said in a footnote in one of his opinions that it needs to be kidnap for rape and not these other crimes that actually are all enumerated in the statute. I'm like, that's just lazy. Like, that's inaccurate. You're literally putting a footnote that's wrong. You're an appellate court justice. But anyway, that's a whole separate thing. So you need to have the qualifying offense. You need to have a qualifying mental disorder. Like the easiest example that people would understand is a pedophilic disorder, where you have a deviant sexual interest in children, and there's some other elements. And it needs to be, you are likely to commit another sexually violent offense if you were released into the community. So it's not every person who's ever gotten any offense. In fact, the vast majority of people that have a prior 288 or 261 won't qualify. Two experts appointed by the state, and initially they're employees of the state, have to both agree separately and independently of each other that you qualify under the statute. You have to be in prison and in CDCR custody for a felony. It doesn't have to necessarily be the qualifying offense felony, but for a felony. And then the state sends a letter of recommendation to the county where the person was sentenced for whatever their prison sentence is, saying that this person qualifies if and only if those two experts agree with each other that the person qualifies as a sexually violent predator. And there's two people that are appointed from the state. And if one of them says yes and one of them says no as to whether the person's an SVP, two more independent experts, so not state employees, but independent contractors who work for the state, are then appointed. And both of them have to agree in order for a petition to be potentially filed. And that's a lot of like legalese kind of, but I can't tell you how horrendous some of these people were. We had a thing in Orange County.
That's why I brought you on, is to tell us about all these horrible people.
Please tell me about the horrendous things that happened. Well, you had said earlier that gallows humor, when you know this, HB, when the horrible things that you see, the videos you have to watch, the pictures you have to look at. And we both have children, and in particular, the hardest part for me, it's all horrible, and I'm pretty good at putting it compartmentalizing and like segmenting it out from, like, I could look at this horrible crap all day and then go home to my wife and kids. But it's definitely, you need to do it in my opinion, you need to do it that way, or it'll just stain your soul. It's hard to look at some of this stuff. It's horrible. And with SVPs, they're the worst of the worst. These aren't guys that got drunk and let their deviant sexual impulses carry the day one time. These are guys that do this as a lifestyle choice. And even though only one conviction is necessary, the vast majority of these guys had conviction after conviction after conviction. And keep in mind, in particular, sexual predators for children that are good at grooming and good at getting away with it. There was a guy, Gordon, who I prosecuted, and he's dead now, which I take as a huge win. I don't mean to sound too morbid, but this guy was a monster. And he went for decades molesting, by his own estimate, over 1,000 children, which is just mind-boggling. And his explanation, I'll say this, when he would go into treatment and he would talk about his violations, and this is just what he's admitting to, it's horrific. It's horrific. And he got convicted multiple times over the course of decades, and he would get out and swear on a stack of Bibles he'd never do it again, and he would do it again. And he wouldn't do it again like 5 years later. He did it immediately. This is a lifestyle choice. And it was I was very righteously indignant prosecuting these guys. They are the worst of the worst. Part of why I think I did it for as long as I did, because a lot of people are like, dude, you don't want to stay in at SAU more than 5 years. It'll fuck you up. And I'm not saying it didn't, but I just didn't like.
Either.
They said, come and do SVP. Sorry, this is all on a tangent. From when I first went there, they said, we want you to do SVP. You have civil background. You understand some of these civil rules. Nobody wants this assignment because everyone's here doing criminal, and then this is civil overlap. And there were only a couple of us at the time. Johanna Kim and I were together. She's amazing. She's a sweetheart.
She is. I love her.
The best. But and then they expanded it. And within a couple of years, there were 4 DAs, and we were working round the clock because we had so many of these filings. But I went into it being told 1.5 to 3 years on the high end. But it was Roseanne was the head of SAU at the time, who I adore. And
likewise.
Roseanne
She was so good to me.
Amazing.
One of the best bosses
one of the
I've
best
ever
bosses I ever had in any job.
Hands down.
And she could be tough, but it was tough but fair is the way I describe her. And after 3 years, I went and said, Roseanne, I came here to do SVP as a stepping stone to do regular SAU cases. And she said, well, I'd like you to stay because you're good at these and you're getting really good results, and I'd like you to continue doing it. So how about we give you a blended caseload? So I took criminal cases and SVP cases. And what was brutal about that is the calendars are so different. And what the public defenders finally realized, because these SVP cases would take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sometimes longer to put on. There's lots of experts, and you bring in all the witnesses from sexual violations from decades ago, especially. There's certain rules that would allow you to bring in priors through the police reports if it was a qualifying offense. But a lot of these guys might only have one qualifying offense. One guy in particular I'm thinking of, he had multiple prior arrests for brutal, brutal rapes on mostly prostitutes and women that were illegally in the country, who both groups of people don't want to communicate with authorities because, one, they're prostitutes and the cops they don't like police. They're getting, like getting rousted. And the other don't want to get deported. So this guy would pick them out, and he wouldn't just rape them. He would beat the shit out of them. He beat them within an inch of their life because that's what he got off on. Hurting them while he raped them, demeaning them, hurting them, raping them. And these guys don't get caught every time they do it. They don't even get caught every 10 times they do it. Some of them not even every 100 times they do it. So when you have a guy who's been arrested 8 times for this in 30 years, he's probably done this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That, but you're limited by what evidence you can present. And as I looked at that, I'm thinking of one guy in particular. It was so horrifically bad what he did, but only one of his prior arrests resulted in a conviction for a qualifying offense. And it was for a 220.
Assault to commit rape.
Assault to commit rape. And it was a brutal rape, but his victim refused to cooperate and refused to testify at trial. And he pled to the 220. And especially the prostitutes, some of the women who were not legally in the country, they just wouldn't show up. And their friends, she went back to whatever country. And meanwhile, they didn't leave. They just didn't want to deal with the authorities, and they would get away with it. That's why they picked these victims. And I think, I don't want to mix my cases up, but this one guy in particular, one conviction. So I had to bring in live witnesses for all the other, if you didn't have direct testimony, then the jury didn't get to hear about it. And if you can't show a pattern, then you can't justify the qualifying mental disorder. Can't do the qualifying mental disorder, you can't prove the second criteria, the second element isn't met. I'm trying to think. There was one guy.
If they admit to doing it to the psychologist, can you get that in?
Yes, but a lot of them don't. And here's the thing about the psychologists that do this area of the law, that do like the sexual deviant area of the law. And it's psychologists or psychiatrists, but most of them are psychologists. the statistics show that whether they admit to what they've done or not, their recidivism rate, like the chance of them doing it again, really doesn't change. So they don't care that these guys deny it, which to me, I'm like, common sense dictates if someone is going to brutally rape someone or have sex with a 3-year-old, lots of 3-year-olds, like, I didn't do that. They came on to me, whatever else. I'm like, common sense dictates that person's a fucking monster. I mean, they're a monster either way, but at least if a guy is like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and I'm so sorry, you think, oh, all right, they're showing some self-awareness. But statistically what they've shown, and there's actually support to this in the law, say you have 2 men who each raped a woman, and one of them afterwards denied it and doesn't give a shit because he's a psychopath, and the other is racked with guilt and feels horrible about it. But then they both go on to rape another woman. Do you care? Does it matter? Does it mitigate for that victim that he feels really bad while he's brutally raping you? No. So I kind of get where they're coming from, but it still feels wrong that they're lying, but they won't take responsibility for what they've done. And it always bothered me. But so anyway, the psychologist.
Well, let me ask you this. Even though you can't get it in their admission, doesn't matter in terms of what you're saying, but are you allowed to use the fact that they admitted to these things, if they admit, as the basis for proving that it was a pattern? That's my question. Because you said if you don't have these marginalized victims like the prostitutes or the illegals.
No, that's a great question. I'll say in my experience, because I did a ton of these trials.
I know.
I did a lot of
one of mine.
I did take one of yours. You know what? That's funny, because that's Brown.
Yeah.
Lawrence Brown.
No relation.
No relation.
He's a monster.
He's a monster. And Mark Brown was the PD.
And I was
no relation.
No relation to him either.
Thank goodness.
But I do like him a lot better.
I do like
than
Mark
the
Brown.
defendant.
Mark Brown's a nice guy. I'm just making fun of him. But so it was Heather Brown, Mark Brown, and Lawrence Brown. And people are like, are you being serious? Or is this like a gag? Is this a bit? Like, no, it's just coincidence. They were all on it. And I remember that case because I used to go to your office and sit on your couch to spitball stuff with you. And you come into my office and you're like, hey, Peter. I was like, what's up, HV? You're like, so they're giving me this high visibility, horrible monster of a guy, but it's SVP. So do you mind appearing for me on the motion? I said, I'd be delighted. And for the next 2 years, I think I made every appearance for you. And then you went to homicide, and I was like, I don't think you appeared on it one time, and then I basically did the case for you, which I was happy to do. But
you praise the Lord, that worked out.
I kept saying, Peter Finnerty specially appearing for Heather Brown on behalf of the people. I must have said that 50 times.
Well, do you know, Peter, that I had that case for years when I was in the sex unit, and then I left. And I went to.
What did you do?
I was assistant head of court, and they made me take it with me.
Is that what it was?
And then when I came back, because Cal was my boss, and I said, Cal, here's the deal.
Awesome.
You need to, if Roseanne retires, you need to go take Roseanne's spot, become the head of SAU, and then
which he did.
He did.
And he was an awesome
and then
boss.
Bring me back to the sexual assault unit because I missed it, which he did. Right. And I said, and get rid of Lawrence Brown. I don't want that case.
Which he kind of did because he's like, Peter. And I was like, no problem.
Exactly.
And it was easy for me because I just folded. I started saying earlier. So I had this mixed calendar.
Wait, tell our listeners what Lawrence Brown did because it was horrible.
It's horrible. In
he was kidnapping kids. And
I would say 1983. April 1983?
I don't remember the exact date. But I know
early 1983. This is every parent's nightmare. He kidnapped a 7-year-old little girl off the street, and she fought back, kicking and screaming. And I want to say he had a van.
He had a scary, creepy
I think it was a scary, creepy, kidnap van, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And she fought back. And I mean, I think about we both have kids. You think about oh my God, that's this little girl.
She fought
this monster, and she fought back. And he threw her in, and he said, "I'm gonna basically fucking kill you if you keep fighting back." And he force oral copped her. I can't remember if he
sodomized her.
Did he sodomize her? I thought that was the second girl.
Nope, he sodomized her. He raped her, and then he forced oral cop, and then he threw her out of the van. And took her to a cemetery, and you said, see these little gravestones? Yeah. That's for all the other little kids that I cut up into little pieces.
So if
you tell
anyone,
anybody,
you're going to be there with them.
You're going to be there with them.
And And it could think about, I mean, I
And
think
his
about,
priors, Peter, where he would take he molested these little girls, and then he took them in the bathroom, locked them in a bathroom, and he threw in a cat, and he snapped the cat's neck and threw the cat. I think there were 2 cats. He snapped their necks and threw them in the bathroom with the little girls.
complete psycho.
Total psycho monster.
But it was just a few months later, he grabbed the second little girl, I think was 8 years old, and brutally raped her. And I want to say at least one of them was a refugee, if I'm remembering correctly. So she came to America from wherever it was, Vietnam or Cambodia or some, I might be remembering the wrong country. But you think like she came here, like I'm finally out of this war-torn area. I'm out of this horrible place, and I'm
Third world
at least
country, and I end up in
initially,
Tustin, right?
and she gets brutally raped by this guy, and I recall that the cops found him because he was still driving around the same creepy rape van, and they literally recognized it. It's like that guy matches the like the bolo.
Yeah,
of
it was
this.
like the van.
And they pulled him over, and lo and behold, that's the guy. So he gets prosecuted, gets convicted of all 288s and enhancements and all of this, and gets 49, I think it was 49 years. Because this is pre-strikes.
Yeah.
And I got to say, strikes, we kind of skipped around a little bit. I'm sorry, it's my fault for jumping around, but strikes, SVP evolved from the evolution of strikes. And I say that in that once people recognize that part of why these guys would reoffend and reoffend and reoffend in the 70s, you would brutally rape a 3-year-old and they would give you like, all right, 10 classes with a psychologist and don't do it again. Probation.
I saw a case where a guy was having sex with his own daughter and he got probation.
It's unbelievable.
I was like,
unbelievable what was allowed socially at the time. So some of these guys, they've been
especially
doing
if
this.
they were doing it to their own family members, and 90% of the people are the people you know, love, and trust are usually family members, and they would handle that in the family.
Well, and that's sometimes why they're not found to be SVP.
Yeah.
They say
It's familial.
80 what is it, 85% of child sex offenders are familial, and their statistical recidivism rates are much lower than non-familial. So I just remember experts used to love throwing up the familial recidivism rates, and I'd always ask them like, "Oh, I see you have familial up there. Is there a reason why you use familial? Was this family members that we're talking about here? I mean, I know he raped all of his children. Gordon comes to mind. All 5 of his children, 2 boys, 3 girls, molested all of them. But he raped basically every kid he ever met, all their cousins. He had 10 years in the 70s where he was the janitor at a nudist colony, and he said it was amazing because for those 10 years, people would bring their kids to this nudist colony, hundreds of them, and then everyone would strip all their clothes off, and the parents are out, you know, whatever, the 70s hippies getting stoned, blowing each other, and the kids would be able to run free, and he would bring them back, and he always kept soda and candy bars and ice cream, and he would molest 15 kids a day.
Already naked, right? Did he have the kids naked or just?
They're naked already.
Oh my God.
So you just bring them back. He had his little like hut in the back of this huge complex, and he had a fresh batch of kids to molest daily, and he said, "Oh, it's the best job I had of that for over a decade." It's like a child molester's dream, which he got to live, and he still got caught eventually and, you know, back into prison. But what was I saying?
These SVP statutes, you were talking about Lawrence Brown
Oh, Lawrence Brown. So yeah.
and the strikes.
So they caught him. I think he got 49 years.
He did.
That was it. I'm sorry. I'm jumping around. When strike law came in, people basically recognized strikes are so bad. These crimes are so bad. And strike crimes like rape, murder, robbery, kidnap, like the most serious of crimes, there should be some recognition of that in the future if this person gets out of custody and reoffends. I mean, not only punishment on the front end, but punishment on the back end. Like, so right around that time is when SVP law came in, 1996. And it used to be a 2-year commitment. And it would be 2 years and 2 years and 2 years and 2 years. And you had to, every 2 years
the
had to do it.
prosecution had to put it on
Right.
if they wanted their trial.
But here's the irony. Because it was just 2 years, most of these guys, they're comfortable. They're at the state hospital. It's like a well-funded junior college. They're hanging out with a bunch of other child molesters. They're talking about, you know, fingering little kids and getting off with each other. And for the first time in their lives, they're around a bunch of like-minded people. Oh yeah, this is great. Society doesn't, like a NAMBLA convention, like society doesn't understand. This is all great stuff. So they would just stipulate more often than not. Some of them went to trial, but most of them just stipulated. And then
So agreed to another 2-year stint.
Right. They just stipulate, because whenever they said, I've had enough, it's just 2 years away from saying, like, give me my trial. Some of them did trials, but most of them didn't. And then it became indeterminate in 2006, meaning if you're found to be an SVP, you may be in custody for the rest of your life. And
then they wanted their trial.
At least 2 guys I was able to have found SVPs did stay in for the rest of their lives that I'm aware of so far, which I've personally felt an amazing sense of accomplishment when I was told they were dead. Not because I want people to die, Christian guy, I respect life, but they would have offended again. There would have been more victims without a doubt in my mind. And at least one of them, I think he might have started murder. I think he might have murdered people in the past and got away with it. He would have murdered his victims. Like them dying in custody, have fun in hell, were innocent people not getting hurt. And on a personal level, I found that very fulfilling.
Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
Peter.
And it was years later.
Buy you a drink?
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to have another sip.
Yeah.
But Lawrence Brown got convicted, as he should. He was a monster. 49 years. But he, here in California, was eligible for parole. Far early, I think after 25 years, and he was granted parole. That's what it was. There were a few years, maybe a year or two before he was granted parole, Innocence Project, which is just such an ironic name to me. You always hear like the Innocence Project has found 186 people were unjustly convicted, but it's how many of them are really unjustly convicted? Like, no. There were 3 men that held this woman down, but only 2 of them raped her. And it turns out the third guy that was also convicted, all he did was hold her down. It's like, yeah, it doesn't sound like an innocent guy. I get under the law, they shouldn't have been convicted, and I'm good with them getting out of custody. But holding that up as your poster child for innocence is kind of, not exactly how I'd define the term. But what most people don't focus on is 186 out of the 6.5 million different tests that they've done. That means we're 99.998 8.7 or something % accurate with our conviction rate. Like that's got to be the best rate on the planet. He put in his DNA to the, I'm sorry, Brian's having
seizure
over here because the defector even wants to argue with me. But Lawrence Brown put in his DNA and said, I didn't do it. You have the wrong guy. So they tested the DNA and confirmed it was his DNA. But what do they have to lose? They don't care. Like maybe the sample will be fucked up and they'll be like, look, I'm an innocent guy. Because he never admitted to what he did. Even when his DNA, I don't know that it was his semen. I don't recall, but usually it is. But his DNA, whatever it was found on the little girl. So give me a break. Obviously it was him. But when he first was released, he got out on parole, and part of the way the state did it to do a little dipsy doodle on the OCDA's office is they tell you what the parole date is, and then internally they recalculate and, oh no, it's actually 5 months before what we were telling you. But the law says they only need to consider someone for SVP 90 days out. So if they move it 5 months earlier and you only look at SVP 90 days out, what happens? He gets released without being reviewed for SVP. And Tony Rakakis was, Brian's also he's gevelting over there now as I'm bringing up Tony. He pressed very hard for them to hold on. Like we want this guy to be reviewed before he gets released. And the state just didn't cooperate and they released him. But he's such a dumb fuck. He violated his parole inside of 10 days. Mm-hmm. I forget what he did. I think I want to say he had covered his GPS. I want to say, or he didn't charge his GPS, so they couldn't find him. Boom, violated him back in. And they said, all right, we want him to be reviewed for SVP. Well, when he was first reviewed, he only had the 2 qualifying convictions. And one of the experts said yes, and one said no. And so from the first set, so they did 2 more. One said yes, one said no. Then you get out. While this was going on, Tony did a press release. I think it's 2010, 2011. He did a press release and he talked to the community, and another victim came forward. And she said, I was a little girl back when it happened, but he raped me too. And when that information was brought to the experts, one of the experts flipped and said, well, wait a minute. I interviewed him. He told me these are the only crimes he ever committed. So he lied to me. He doesn't take responsibility. And there's another victim. I initially said he's not an SVP. I think he does qualify and is likely to reoffend. Boom. So now we have the 2. Now we can get the letter. The warden released him 7 hours early so that the DA's office wouldn't have enough time to get a petition together. So they released Lawrence Brown out into the community. But again, dumb fuck that he is, child rapist, dumb fuck. One of his parole terms was you may not be alone in a car with a woman. And he had a woman pick him up in his car. So...
Andy didn't go directly to his parole.
Andy didn't go directly to his parole officer. I don't think that's what they violated him on.
They did violate him.
They violated him on being in the car with a woman alone with a violation of his parole, put him back in. The expert
what if it was
reversed.
the cab driver and she rolled up and she was a female?
Luckily, we don't need to splice that hair because that was not the case. It was one of these crazy broads who like falls in love with the murderer, the child rapist in prison, and then can't wait to see him when he gets out. And then,
Isn't that the craziest thing?
never seems to work out. But so he got violated, and that's how the petition got filed. I just remember the PDs were apoplectic. This is an outrage. His rights are violated. I'm like, if you guys would only manage to have a fraction of this passion for the child fucking piece of shit that you're defending, we wouldn't have even needed to deal with all this. They would have just said, you know what? We're going to release him at 11:59 like the paperwork says, not have the warden say, well, I'm going to release him 7 hours early so they can't get the petition in. Like that to me is a bunch of nonsense. But
how do you really feel, Peter?
I really feel
I love watching you get fired up.
It's how do you not get fired? These are the worst of the worst.
They are.
Like there's I think a pretty strong argument. They are as bad, at least, as some murderers. Not all.
100%. I think they're worse. You can murder one person. Listen, I'm not justifying murder.
I'm not.
I don't think anyone should get murdered. It's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
But, however, there's no but. Okay. With that being said, there are occasions where people kill someone and it's a murder, right? Like, let's just say a Watson. It's a murder, right? You're driving DUI and then you kill someone, okay? That's a murder. A child molester, you might...
the peanut gallery.
I know, you might not ever do that again, right? Like, right. I am confident that someone who kills someone while they're driving drunk isn't going out and killing... There's probably somebody who is, but for the most part, not going to do that again, right? Or someone who kills someone because they're upset because they cheated on them or whatever. Yeah. Doesn't mean you're going to go on to kill more people. But if you're a child molester... You're molesting more people. There's end of story.
100%. And especially these guys, in order to, like, pedophilic disorder isn't having one offense with a child. It needs to be for at least 6 months, like some of the other criteria. The deviant sexual interest needs to be for more than 6 months.
Pervasive, right?
It needs to really, like, it's not you're 19 and she's 17 and you get drunk and she lies to you and says she's 18, you hook up with her, you're a child molester. No, I'm not. No. Even touching on the pros and cons of whether that law should or should not be the way it is. I'm saying you're 37 and it's a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And when the cops find you having as close as you can to sex with a child that young, you go, she came on to me. I'm really the aggrieved party here. And they mean it. Those guys they are wired wrong. They are fucked in the head permanently. And when they do it over and over and over again, I remember Gordon in my my closing argument, one of the things they said he was so old because he was like, I want to say 78 or 80
That's where the phrase dirty old man comes from.
Right. Dirty old man. Thank you, Heather Brown. You know, I used that in one of my trials because I was talking to you about it and you went, just tell him dirty old man, Peter. It's like, oh, I love talking to you.
Call him dirty old man. Like, oh, he's a dirty old man. Yeah, because that's what it is.
Admitted to over 1,000 victims. Over 1,000. It's probably tens of thousands, but admitted to over 1,000. And he would sit there, in his like Mr. Rogers sweater, trying to, look all sympathetic. And I said to the jury, when you look at the third element, is it likely that he'll reoffend it again? Well, let's look over the course of his life that he got caught with. He offended, and then he reoffended, and then he reoffended, and he reoffended, and he reoffended, and he reoffended, and he reoffended that we know of. That's just what he's admitting to and been convicted of. And with a straight face, he's saying, oh, yeah, but this time I won't do it again. Yeah. It just, it's like,
he's
it's
got
absurd.
Nothing to lose.
It's absurd.
Don't you believe in 12th chances, Peter?
No doubt.
Oh, welcome to the conversation. Come on in, Brian.
Thank you.
It's time for you because we're getting fired up and we have an extra guest.
No, we're good.
Are you good on time?
I'm fine on time.
All right. So we
no chair?
need a seat.
Well, we want you to stand so that you're not too much shorter than me. Sitting next to you.
We're going to get you a seat. Don't worry.
Perfect.
Pete's working on it.
Hi, Pete. Thank you.
Yeah. Will you be able to see Brian over?
Oh, I'm blocking Heather.
Is Peter blocking Brian? That's like, don't you feel like that's the law school exam? There's 4 lawyers sitting in a bar. Peter's not blocking Brian. Brian's blocking Heather. Heather's not blocking.
He's like, that's an LSAT question.
That's what I meant. The LSAT. What did I say? Bar. I meant the.
You're intoxicated. So you said law school exam.
Okay. So welcome. Yeah, I meant the LSAT.
You meant LSAT. Logic games.
Logic games. I hated them. Okay. So Brian, welcome back to this episode. You just couldn't stay quiet over there, could you?
No, I couldn't.
I was amazed you stayed as quiet for as long as you did.
I know.
Thank you.
He was walking
some of your husband's grilled.
Up.
Some of your husband's grilled Italian sausage, which was quite tasty.
Oh, dear God. Put that as the clip. That's got to be the clip on Instagram. I tasted some of your husband's grilled Italian sausage. It was quite tasty.
But Tom Brown isn't Italian. He's like, I know.
He's Polish. It was Polish sausage, maybe. Yeah.
His Polish kielbasa.
Exactly. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm just warning you guys right now. They may have been drinking. I'm about to drink. So I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
I don't either. No, he was voicing 12th chances. I disagree. Part of why I think the SVP law came into existence is people realized, holy shit, we didn't have strikes. Like these guys used to, on their 5th offense, banging a 4-year-old, they'd get 80 years, but you got halftime credits. So if you had 80 years was actually 40 years and you were 25, you're getting out at 65. Yeah. Guess what? 65-year-olds can still fuck kids. And nowadays they're like, oh, I'm chemically castrated. Well, that's only if you go in and keep getting the shot all the time. They get out, they give up the shot, start taking Cialis like they're vitamins, and they're, slap some testosterone on their inner thigh, and they're ready to, bang in elementary school. And fuck these guys. No, and they're like, well, I'm like, here's the other thing. Here's another aspect to it. Even the ones that say they would get actually castrated, do you know that 10% of sex offenders, even after they've been castrated, still reoffend? Because it's not just testosterone coming from your nutsack. It can be in your head. They're so fucked in the head that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, he's wheelchair bound. Hell, they could be on a gurney like this. They'd be like, take your pants off and put your finger in your asshole. These are fucking the worst of the worst. So fuck these guys.
I love you, Peter. I think I might want to marry you.
Guys.
Oh, good God.
He's there like, well, I'd like to counterpoint what he just said.
Counterpoint that, Brian. Let's hear what you got to say.
No. As much as I'd like to defend the inability of a wheelchair or gurney-bound paraplegic to molest the world like Peter would think.
Pedophile.
I'll decline the invitation.
Wise beyond your years.
Thank you.
I like that.
I like it too. Well, I will say this. He is not only is Brian one of the best defense attorneys I know, I for many years, I now have this like little skinny wallet where I can't put everything in it. But when I had my big Costanza wallet, I had one defense attorney card in it, and it was Brian's. And my thought was, if I ever get in trouble.
That was my next question. If you ever got
Have you ever shot your wife like Ferguson?
I wouldn't shoot my wife like Ferguson did.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, you get that extra discharge of a firearm. You got to do it subtly. Like,
One knife.
did I ever tell you the story about?
I was going to go in a totally like much more pornographic direction and say it wasn't going to be with a gun, but I kept Brian's card in my wallet, so if I ever got in trouble, I was like, I'm not talking to you, call my lawyer.
Oh, see how nice that is? And if you're listening and you're in trouble, call.
It's true.
Go to www.gurwitzlaw.com. GURWITZLAW.com.
And I will also say that's
No joke. He is. I don't know that
No, it's unsolicited. I say that.
I don't know if I'd call you because you'd probably make some ridiculous, snarky comment.
I would not let you.
If I called you and was like, Brian, I'm in jail. I got arrested for murder. What would you say?
He'd say, how much equity do you have in your house so I know how much to get as a retainer?
Ask me how I sleep at night.
How do you sleep at night?
On a mattress full of $100 bills.
$100 bills.
He does. He's that good. I'm not going to lie. Everybody calls you. I have a little story to tell you about Cameron Talley.
Okay.
So I called Talley the other day to ask him a question if he had given this, told a client of mine some information about a strike. And he goes, I wouldn't know the answer to that. And then he said,
call Brian and ask him.
That's what he said.
Don't
He
doubt
goes,
that for a
that
second.
would be a question for like BG or Messman. And then he
Or
goes,
Messman. Well, not for much longer. Once he's on the bench, you can't call him anymore.
are you oh my God.
Yeah.
Peter, I am supposed to have a party for him on Wednesday night. Party is canceled. If he becomes a judge, he can't give me legal advice? I mean, doesn't do it now as a DA.
No, but he was one of like Eric Scarborough, now a judge, can't do it anymore. Messman, like there were those BG. You had those few people where it's like, oh my God, I have a legal question.
BG's not a judge. Are you kidding me? There's no
I'm
chance in
I'd be
hell.
phenomenal.
When you were in the DA's office, if you're in trial, you have a 5-minute break. You don't have time to look up the answer. You need to call someone.
It's Messman.
I had Messman,
Scarborough too.
Scarborough.
Yeah.
Scarborough was actually my number one. And then Messman, mostly because I knew Scarborough would answer my call and Messman tell him to voicemail. Or BG. And
For the record, I was out of the office, so
He was out of the office,
I
but
was
I
long
still
down
call
on the
him.
list.
you were, but you know the law so well.
I'm saying I would have been well above Scarborough had I still been in the office.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Scarborough was always my first call. The guy's got a brain like a computer, and he would know you're in trial because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
And if he saw you were calling, he would drop whatever he was doing and send.
What do you need? What can I do for you?
And I would
He
tell
was.
him.
And Messman would just look at you judgmentally.
The Messman would look at his phone and be like, "Send a voicemail." I'm like, "Oh, come on!"
Oh no, he always answered my
Well,
call.
shockingly, he answered your calls.
And I would text him and
He
I
has
would
to be like,
have.
I never did that. I never did that.
But listen, I didn't think about that. I'm like trying to support him so that he can become a judge. I think
Oh no,
he's going to be
support him. He's going to
amazing.
be an amazing judge.
I know he will, but
Because
that's why I'm
he's
having a party for him. But if he becomes a judge, I don't have any legal advice.
But that's what you want. You want people that smart as judges.
No, I want
Scarborough's
him to
already a
seek
judge.
trial for help when I need it.
Well,
Trial,
Scarborough's
Peter.
already a judge, which is that's the benefit of
Oh,
Orange
right
County
now.
and the rest of society. And then Messman will be with him soon to the benefit of Orange County and the rest of society.
Amen.
Yeah, honestly, you want guys that smart
I do.
sitting on the bench.
I do, and that's
'Cause
why
Not every judge on the bench is as
You want
smart
me
as
to
they
come
are.
Wednesday night. I would
be
love. You'll be there? Yeah.
Are you going?
Will you be there?
Yeah.
Oh yay! Oh, it's gonna be fun. It's at my law office.
I was one of the sponsors at his last event.
Oh, perfect.
I shouldn't say I sponsor. I was like the lowest level sponsor, but I still was on the sponsor thing. I think you were
We all love him, and I'm happy. I'm glad you'll be there. It'll
like
be
whatever
fun.
levels there are. I was the entry level, and Brian was like 3 levels up. And when they, at the end, they're like, "Yes, I have an actual microphone. They're like, we'd like to thank all the sponsors." They're like, Brian Gerwitz, blah blah blah, blah, Peter Finnerty. I said Peter and Kim Finnerty. I'm like, oh, look at that. We paid less money than Brian, and we both got credit for it. Of course, we showed up, and you were convincing somewhere. So why didn't you go to that?
What day was it? I think I was in.
You had some other.
I was on vacation somewhere.
I don't know.
That day.
I just made sure to tell Messman that Brian told me to tell you that he could have been here and he chose to do something else. And he just shook his head and laughed.
Peter.
Well, yay! I'm super happy. Okay, so what were we just talking about? Why were we talking about Peter?
I got sidetracked. Gerwitz does that to me.
He does it to me too.
I think he was going to
we
counter.
were going to call you. So now I can call you, right?
650 an hour discount for you.
Remember a buddy of mine?
Price $650.
That'll be my Heather Brown discounted price. $650 per hour with a minimum of 2 hours per call.
Oh my God.
So a friend of mine from college who I hadn't talked to in years calls me. Turns out his son is at Chapman or OCC or something. He's like, "Hey man, my son is dumbass, and he was like doing donuts, and the cops like possessed his car." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? Hold on, stay on the phone. I'm going to call my friend Brian and just see if he has any advice." And I'm thinking like, "Oh, Brian Gurwitz gives me advice all the time. We'll just call him." And I call up. And he goes, "Hello?" Like, "Hey, Brian, I'm on the phone with my buddy here, and his son did all that." And Brian's like, "Oh, okay. So my retainer will be $5,000. You want to just pay me now?" And I'm like, "Whoa, wait a minute." He's like, "Oh, I thought you were going to give me advice." He's like, "What do I work for free?" I'm like, "What's happening?"
This is all fabricated.
It was so funny. I didn't really have it, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't think about the dynamic. Of course, this is work for him." This is when I was still a DM.
It wasn't going to take $5,000 to answer a phone call.
No.
You were joking.
He was probably charged or something. I was talking about what a misdemeanor might start at.
He hadn't been charged yet. They'd taken his car. And I was like, "Well, that doesn't seem constitutional."
Oh.
And you were like, "Yeah, the cops like to abuse this, where they take your car even though you haven't been charged yet because they can on some kind of forfeiture law." I don't know. You're the one saying it, dude. I didn't say it.
You're confusing me with another
Well,
Another
Jew, probably Messman.
wasn't messing. He was at the DA's office. But
Who
I
else
remember-
could it have been?
no, it was him. But
He
Like
has the facts wrong. I refuse to admit to this.
there is a chance I have my facts wrong, but I'm pretty sure my facts are right. And it worked out because the cops eventually gave him his car back and they didn't charge him, and it was bullshit.
So he won't give us free legal advice, is what you're saying.
I give free legal advice.
Why do you keep murdering your wife right in front of Heather Brown? You know what?
Murdering my wife. My wife is 20 miles away right now.
I know, but it's the moral equivalent. We've already covered this. What did you just say before murdering?
That was brilliant,
Your
Peter.
I said,
For
Stop
fuck's
saying
sake.
it.
Just F-bomb instead. It's more profane and it's less upsetting to Heather Brown.
True.
And your wife is such a sweetheart. Don't say you're going to murder your wife.
I wouldn't murder my wife.
Really?
I wouldn't even manslaughter my wife.
Just
Well, that would be probably not
as a clip,
intentional.
Pete.
I wouldn't even manslaughter my wife. God, your wife's such a sweetheart.
That's the funniest thing.
That's true love. After 30 years of marriage, I will say not only wouldn't I murder her, I wouldn't even manslaughter her. Voluntary or involuntary.
I was going to say, it still leaves some options open. No, he covered those options. All right.
That's hilarious. He might do 45.
I did have the idea of a perfect murder
Oh, let's hear
of the
it.
spouse. Okay.
You're
so
the smartest person I know, so I
Here's
really
what I think. Everybody always does the typical murder. They shoot them, they stab them, they hire somebody to kill them, they pretend they weren't
Strippers
there.
and below.
That is clearly not a murder. I mean, clearly a murder, and they just hoping they don't get linked to it, right?
Oh my God.
I've always thought,
Your wife is murdering you by not fucking you to death.
Oh, we're cutting that one out, Pete.
I can't even follow that one. Okay.
I can't either.
By her not engaging in...
All right, go on.
It's fucking
They always-
in the head.
They always do this where they engage in something that's clearly murder and they're hoping not to be linked to it.
Mm-hmm.
A much better thing to do would be, if you're a woman, tell your husband, "Hey, will you, you're leaving the driveway. Will you run back in the house and get my purse? I left it." So then he comes back with the purse, and just at that time, you run him over with your car and you kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, "My foot slipped. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever." And then the DA's office believes it. And they file a misdemeanor, and you get misdemeanor manslaughter, vehicular manslaughter, and you get community service. Boom, done.
You heard it here. Brian Gurwitz on how to murder your spouse.
Wouldn't that be more effective than what you normally see?
Well,
Yeah, I
think
agree.
odds are
It'd
if you win
be
over
more
some-
effective than what you normally see, but
They don't normally see it because
I think
they
it's
do it
best
the
to
wrong
not
way.
murder your spouse. Just get the...
I do think that's it. I personally think if you want to murder like your husband, that
That's very specific, Heather.
Your husband, Tom Brown.
no,
Yes,
it's
Heather.
not. I don't want to murder my husband.
Okay, but if you did,
But if I did,
Her
no,
husband
just kidding.
bombed town. Totally different guy.
No,
Go ahead.
I would. I wouldn't kill him, but I'm just saying. I think somebody, if you want to kill someone and make it less obvious, you should ply him with like strippers and coke, right?
You know what? If
And
my
red
wife's
meat.
if my
Red
wife's
meat.
listening, that's how to murder me.
No, and red meat. Like,
Strippers and coke and red meat. Murder me like that for the next
we might
20
need
to
to cut
30
this
years.
part out, Pete.
And blowjobs.
No, but listen, no.
No,
Listen.
let's not go crazy. That's not going to happen.
No, but for reals. Jokingly, this is
Strippers,
a joke.
coke, and red meat, and what, you murder them over like a 60-year period? That kind of defeats the purpose of murder, doesn't
That's
it?
like a phenomenal way to go out.
No, but I'm thinking, okay, so Murphy was in a trial one time with this woman who basically had her big football boyfriend he did.
Napolsky or whatever.
Yeah, Naposky. Murder the older gentleman she was married to or engaged to be married to.
That was Newport Beach on the
yeah.
peninsula.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that case.
And so she was like, I think he loved her and he was going to leave her money.
He like broke the key when he was going through the door.
And he ended up like coming from the East Coast, and whatever. I don't remember the details, but I know that he murdered her for his girlfriend, right? Nanette. I think that was her name, Nanette. And then she like wrote a big fat check to herself like the next day and cashed
She's a
it.
dumb fuck.
It's like, we call that a clue. You're a dumbass, right?
Yep.
And I thought, why murder someone that way? Because he was older. He was an older gentleman. She was younger. She wanted the young football guy, wanted to kill the old rich guy. And so it was like, there's a lot. I was telling Murphy, that's so dumb. Why would she have someone kill him? Like, there's plenty of ways to kill him without like actually shooting him and murdering him.
Psychopath. And she just wanted it now.
Yeah, I wanted it now. I know.
But that was like $20 million in like 2008 or something. Like that'd be like having $40 million. Think about how much money that is. If you're someone who just wants the lifestyle today, she just didn't care. She didn't think about consequences. She didn't give a shit that she was murdering the guy that loved her. She just wanted it.
I know, it's terrible.
It's narcissism, and it's like an overlap with SVP. Being a psychopath is very rare. Most of the SVPs I prosecuted were not psychopaths, but if you are a psychopath, that's the PCLR, that's the actuary, the actuarial, not actuarial, what is it? The test that you used is the PCLR.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're above a certain point, there's different levels of psychopathy that you can hit. And here in the United States, I think it changes, but I think it's 30 or higher. You're considered a full-blown psychopath. But if you're 28, you're not a psychopath. You just have a high level of psychopathy. Someone who does something like that has no empathy. They basically have no soul. Like one of the experts told me, someone who is a full-blown psychopath is like someone, just visualize it as someone who doesn't have a soul. Like they don't.
Like Brian.
They interfere with too much.
He is a very good defense attorney.
I'm just kidding.
Very good defense
He's great. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I say that in that, like when they're raping a child who's crying and there's blood everywhere, and you think, how could you even stay aroused? Because they don't care. They're narcissistic. Right. They're only focused on themselves, and this is what they fantasize about. You know, like brutally raping a 4-year-old. So they don't give a shit that it's destroying this child emotionally, that it's fucking them up physically. Do you remember?
Well, they do care. They want it. They enjoy that part.
No, they don't care the damage that they're doing. They only care that they're getting what they want. And
but isn't it the fear and the torture that they're putting in that becomes the arousing point for somebody who's sadistic?
No, that's sadism, which is a whole different thing. You can be a psychopath without being.
Yeah, but if you're raping somebody and when they're crying and they're screaming, that's what you are.
No,
right?
No.
Yes, you're a sadist if you're doing that.
No.
You get pleasure from the
You get pleasure from the pain. There's a difference between getting pleasure from inflicting pain.
Well, that's what I thought you were talking
and
about.
not caring that pain is involved. Like if the child wasn't screaming, like they rape the kid whether they cry and scream or get hurt or not because they're indifferent. They're a psychopath. They don't care. A sadist needs there to be pain. They need.
Okay, that makes sense. So they're adding the extra torture devices or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
And which is very rare. Like
I understand.
Being a psychopath is rare, and having sadism, which is a separate disorder.
Name a sadistic psychopath?
Who's the guy?
Richard Ramirez.
Well, for sure him, but I'm thinking Lawrence Bittaker, who would like chop off girls' arms and rape them in the van and stuff like that.
Yeah, the one, and he said he was innocent, and then when he got out, they caught him covered in blood, chopping the girl's arms off, and he said, "Oh yeah, okay, I was guilty with her." Like it was the same MO of all the women he'd raped, and he denied it, and then she survived. And I remember she came in to testify, and like both her arms were chopped off at the forearm.
What?
Yeah, that
And if I'm wrong about the name, it's not Lawrence Bittiger. I apologize, Lawrence. If you're a different form of rapist and you didn't actually chop off the arms, I'm just trying to protect myself from defamation.
Look at like Golden State Killer as psychopath. Like he did brutal things and he injured people. I don't believe sadism was involved. He was just narcissistic and he had micro penis. He had all kinds of problems. But
who did?
Golden State Killer.
Golden State Killer had micro penis?
I'm pretty sure.
No, he loved the terror. He got off on the. Is that what you're saying? He's a psychopath, but not a sadist?
I think he's a psychopath.
No,
I'm not saying
he
he's
would
not.
make the women get on all fours and put plates on their back and say, if you move, the husband, if you move, I'm going to kill your wife.
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
He was
trying to think of someone who did.
Sicko.
I'm trying to think of someone who was like. There was one case I didn't try it, where it was sadism, where he liked to torture his victims. And that's what got him. He didn't it wasn't the sexual aspect. It was the pain that got him off. That's sadism. And that's a whole different level of scary.
Well, there's a difference between sadist and sexual sadist. The sexual sadist actually gets sexually aroused by inflicting pain versus pleasure from inflicting pain.
And the disorders are like, they try and the DSM, I think it's DSM-5 TR now. It was DSM-4, DSM-4 TR, then DSM-5 while I was doing SVP, and now I believe it's DSM-5 TR. The Diagnostic Statistical Manual, I believe. And I always use the acronym, so I actually don't even remember the words. But they actually change over time because when they get together and do a revised version or they do a new book, it's whatever the current consensus is. So the definition of some of these types of disorders change over time. Like what used to be paraphilia NOS for not otherwise specified became unspecified paraphilic disorder or specified paraphilic disorder for rapists that would, they had a deviant sexual urge that caused them to act on that urge to rape, as distinguished from like a power rapist or someone who raped because it was available. And like, say, what was an example that an expert used once that I thought was good? Say you're a gang member who, as part of the gang, you want to have respect for the gang, so you engage in criminal activity, and you go in and you're in the middle of a robbery, and then there's a woman there who you find attractive, so you rape her because she's there, and you're dominance and you rape her as in part of the robbery, and then you leave. But you otherwise haven't raped anyone before or after then. That's not someone who's a sexually violent predator rapist. That's someone who just was already engaged in illegal conduct and thought, fuck it, I'm going to rape this chick. What's the difference? I'm already committing this crime, so I'm going to rape her too. It's still rape. The victim doesn't give a shit what his motivation is, but that probably wouldn't qualify as a qualifying rape-oriented diagnosis, like a qualifying mental disorder, because that's not well, I want to say paraphilia NOS, but that's not the current terminology. It's not a specified or unspecified paraphilic disorder that would motivate that. It's more of a power rape. If I'm getting that right. I'm not one of the experts. I just interacted with them a lot for a long time.
Well, you kind of are.
Okay,
the psychologist.
I'm going to ask the two of you a question, see who agrees with me or not, but I won't say my opinion. You've all heard the notion that rape is not a sex crime. They're not doing it for sexual reasons. They're doing it for power reasons.
That's not always true.
Generally, well, the thought, you've heard that, right? That rape is primarily a
claim, but that's...
Heather, what do you think?
I think it's both.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Because of course the guy's getting off on it because of the power, just like other situations where somebody might, the power dynamic
take her purse. Why are you going to take your pants down?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to dominate her, like, no.
Right.
It's definitely sexual. But,
that whole notion, that's the whole, like, oh, rape is a crime of power. It's like, no, it's not. I mean, of course, that's part of it. But to claim that it's something non-sexual, it's preposterous.
It is preposterous. The thing is that they get aroused by the power and control over someone. Otherwise, they just have consensual sex with someone. And let me tell you, it's as easy as getting an app on your phone. You know what I mean?
But that's just it.
It's not about that.
You're confessing to too much right now.
It's the non-consensual nature of it, though.
You're married.
I'm 55 years old. Do you think I don't know that people bang all the time from those apps?
Well,
Good.
you look amazing. You don't look even 50, kid. You
I'm looking day over 50.
I'm not.
You're looking
I'm not
day over
I'm not
40.
participating in the sexual harassment.
It's not sexual harassment. I'm complimenting her.
Who are you gonna sue? Me? I have a sign over the front door that says
Tina's criminal. You want to sue someone, you talk to me.
will not be tolerated. However, it will be graded. And so far, you're getting a D, Brian. Okay.
I got a D. Awesome.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that high grade before. Very good.
I don't believe that for a second.
I mean, in this area,
Oh, in sexual harassment, you've never gotten a higher grade than a D before?
never gotten a D. It's my first D.
He's never given the D either.
Oh my God, you guys are out of control.
Out of control.
Out of control.
I think we need to cut this whole episode.
We have to cut it off. We got to. I know Peter's got to take. You got to take your mom to
I have
dinner.
to take my mother to dinner. I'm hoping they
think
still
that's
give
sweet.
us. Oh yeah, our reservation's already missed. My mom's gonna be very disappointed.
8:15.
I know, but it's 8:19.
Oh, okay. Well, Peter, you better go.
Mom, you said 9:15.
All right. Well,
Oh, she called 2 minutes ago. Whoops.
listen, gentlemen. We're gonna wrap this up.
away with Al's son.
Al's son. Oh, it's Al's son. He has a name, Mother. Mother.
I know. You call her mother, huh?
I used to call her Ma.
I call my mother Ma.
Yeah. Ma.
Ma.
Ma, what are you doing?
I call my mother Ma too.
Yep.
It's an East Coast thing.
I think so.
I think so. What do you call your mother?
Nothing.
I was going to say, there was a really inappropriate joke that I actually stopped myself from saying.
What did
But in my
you-
head, I'm laughing my ass off.
Wait,
What should be doing if she were alive today?
she'd be
Your
shaking
father?
her head.
No,
Did,
my mother.
did your mother know that you
No,
were
that's
this
saying
way?
she'd be doing your father.
Wait, did she know what?
Did she know that you were this way?
No. What would my
No,
mother?
for real. Did she really
I don't
know?
know what you knew. What did my mother?
Did you ever say the things that you say in front of us, in front of her?
Not really. She was kind of off and on.
But that's why he has to get it out now. It was all repressed when his mother was
There's a bit
around.
of a quality of a spacey quality that his mom is like my mom, but his mom is much more
Not your mom.
cosmopolitan version. Like
That's not true.
I got you.
retarded, spaced out. Spaced out.
I prefer mildly retarded because that seems like more.
All right, we're not allowed to say that word.
Remo.
Mildly? What's wrong with mildly?
All right, well, we're going to have to end our episode now because Peter's got to take Ma to dinner and Brian's got to call his parole officer. So, I don't know. I don't know what's gone. It's gone off the rails and
Something.
it's time to call it a wrap. But listen, this is how you defeat the darkness.
Yeah.
You hang out with your buddies. This was how it was in our job. No wonder Peter and I always said we get to do this for free.
Do that. Well,
Not for free. We didn't do it for free.
they paid us to
That's
do
what I
this.
meant
You
to
do
say.
it for free. They paid us to do it. It's
They
fabulous.
paid us to do it. That's
Right.
what I meant to say.
I know you did.
You know what I meant.
I did.
And they did. And we had so much fun. And you know what? It was dark. All these things we talked about are really dark. But that's where you find the light is within your friends like Peter Finnerty and Brian Gerwitz, who we can talk and laugh about anything. And you guys have brought tremendous light to my life in the darkest places. And anytime I need help or I'm in trouble, I know I can call you guys. So thank you for coming on the show. It's been my honor and privilege to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And try not to sue us for anything stupid we said. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, if you can't find the light, be the light like Brian and Peter. Was there a disciple named Brian? No, but there was one named Peter.
Yeah. I could point out the obvious differences, but yes.
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it.
I will say
Until
this. Peter was Jewish, so there's a little overlap there. Yeah.
there is overlap.
Yeah.
Brian secretly really, really, really loves Jesus.
He
It's
does.
a wrap.
I feel so.
It's
Until
he
next
often
time.
tells me it's his favorite.
Till we meet again.